getting off to a good start. So, the thing is, when I first wanted to backpack, I didn't have any pushback. I mean, people encouraged me. And
What year?
like 10 years ago, so I was in my early 40s.
Married to Mark?
Yep.
Okay.
And maybe because I went with him usually. And in fact, I think I always went with him when I started learning to backpack. So I wasn't used to people saying, oh, you shouldn't do that, and trying to pull you back from the goal. But one day Mark actually did, and that really surprised me because he never does. But anyway, he wanted me to have a partner for my Appalachian Trail trial, and it was only going to be 3 days and 34 miles. And I couldn't find anybody. You know, we live here. There's hundreds of miles for people to go. But he was insistent, which was really odd and confusing. But anyway, I found a partner and went, and after that he said, I'm not worried about it. In fact, after that he said, if you can't find a partner for the Appalachian Trail, just go ahead and go on your own. But that wasn't the way it was for you, right?
No. I'm sitting here kind of trying to think. I've always had an outdoorsy, adventurous kind of personality because I wouldn't say because of this, but I did grow up with 4 brothers and used to being outdoors and doing outdoorsy guy things. Not that hiking is just a guy thing, obviously, but just being outdoors. But I was the baby, and I'm the only girl. If we remember back to when we decided to do Big Bend, it wasn't my brothers.
Oh, that's right. It was your boss,
Coworkers.
and at least the person who introduced us had confidence in me, but apparently those others thought I was just going to dive you off a cliff somewhere in Big Bend. I actually got a phone call from her boss, checking me out, making sure I had enough experience to take.
Well, and it's someone that you've known for a long time.
I know. And I've known him through things that would make him understand that I could follow a marked trail and camp out at a designated campsite, probably be okay.
But I do think at that point I had only been with them for a year, and I was new to town.
You were still a grown-up woman. You were 40,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, over 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
When, like, she was 16. And did you know he was going to call me?
No.
I mean, I was kind of surprised. I was kind of mad, too, because even though I liked this man and I knew he did it from a good place, I just thought, who are you to question whether or not I could take a friend backpacking? But I bit my tongue and answered questions and assured him of my experience, which was enough. It wasn't a lot.
We joked about it at the office. Like,
Apparently they meant it.
I guess, because I had no idea they were going to call you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he had done that trail before, so he knew what we were up against. He knew it was well marked, good campsites, enough people around that there would be help if you needed it. Enough people around, if somebody was messing with you, someone else would know.
And I wasn't concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were concerned, it would have been about mountain lions or bears or that kind of thing, which you would have no control over.
Yeah. I was worried about us being too cold because we went in January. And I was a little bit worried because now everybody thought I was the expert going to take her, and I was like, I'm not really an expert. I've just done that trail before as an overnight with my 2 girls. I had a couple of high school girls that were with me and my husband at the time. And I had done some other overnight.
I understand why people kind of take it on themselves to say, oh, you shouldn't do this because of that. And when you intentionally set the goal and make that known to people, I wonder if they question as much.
I think that from the other folks I've talked to now that I've done the Appalachian Trail, a lot of people were getting pushback even while they're on trail about staying on and how dangerous it might or might not be. But it seemed like the people who really worried the most are the ones who really had no experience backpacking and maybe little experience hiking. So I think it was their fear. For them that was really spooky, so they were wanting to put it on somebody else to just back off.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when you don't take the time to research and know, statistics on, how safe it is, what's actually happened on trail, what you're up against, then people are naturally scared of the unknown.
Yeah. Especially when it's really out of their element. Most people have not hiked in the woods with all their food and shelter on their back, knowing that they're just going to set up somewhere before nightfall and then hike all over again the next day.
For these people that caution you against doing something that you really want to do, speaking to something that they don't know enough about, maybe they should take the time to check themselves before they tell you that you're putting yourself in danger, that you're being careless and reckless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be so nice.
It would be nice. Because I know some folks who really didn't get on trail for months, sometimes years, because people were holding them back or weren't willing to say out loud, this is my goal, because they didn't want to have to fight that battle all the time. In fact, I have one friend who just quit talking about her journey completely. And finally I asked her, I said, are you still going? Because you were so excited about it. And she goes, yeah, but don't talk about it. I'm not talking about it. And I was like, why not? And she goes, I have received so much grief from so many people that don't think I should do it, that I just finally decided it wasn't worth arguing about. I was just going to do what I needed to do and go. And this was another grown woman. Like, she was, I think, 31. And we were talking about a trip that was a week long. 1 week.
We are planning to go on, she's doing the PCT.
Yeah, Pacific Crest Trail.
And I'm going for 10 to 14 days. Fairly early on into our talkings about this, she just said, Lynn, I'm not doing your research for you this time.
I can be so blunt.
But it has been very enlightening to do my own research and figure things out for myself.
Well, what I realized on the Appalachian Trail was how hard it was to figure some things out. Like, where you could get off and what shuttle could bring you back and forth.
You risk taking on that burden of, I told Melinda that this is what she should do, and it didn't work out.
Right.
And I take that risk too. It's always worked out, but
it might not one day.
What it's taught me to do is plan my own journey and take ownership of that.
Awesome. I really didn't know that till this second. I mean, I knew you did that outside of the stuff we did together, but I thought you just, whatever I was doing, you just came along when it was us hiking together.
I have, for the most part, but this will be different. Well, I'm just having an aha moment. Of course, people were questioning my safety, and they called you because all I did was said, I don't know, I feel safe with Lorrie, so whatever she does, I'll do. Not the way to do it.
But you had practiced lots of hiking. You'd had your gear. You'd practiced using your gear, wearing your gear, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even before that first one, but then particularly after. So it wasn't like you completely just bought your gear and went, which people do.
But here's the thing. You'll learn so much as you go. Now, that doesn't resonate with the people that are telling you that you're being reckless and careless prior to, but you learn by trial and error.
Well, and that's why you do the overnights. Or at least I did, because then I could practice setting up my tent. I practiced in wind, I practiced in sun, I practiced in rain, and learned how to move my tent in the rain when water was coming underneath it. So, I mean, just even one-nighters, if you do enough of them, you're going to know how to light your stove, although most people learn how to light it correctly. I learned how to light it incorrectly through all my trials, and it wasn't until I was under worse conditions I learned how to light it the easy way. And one of my first overnights, I knew my bag was too big. I mean, I had a bag, but I just strapped it to the top of my pack and said, I'm not spending money on a bag until I see how this other stuff goes first. I even took one of my, what I call car camping tents with me the first couple times. Heavy. I mean, like 7.5 pounds. But if it's an overnight, you don't have that much else you have to carry. So you can practice until you know what it is you really want. And I borrowed gear a lot. That helped me. It helped me gain confidence. Yeah. A lot of people are scared for your personal safety. They worry about animals, rattlesnakes, stuff like that on the trail, on the Appalachian Trail, bears. But you know, I could find a rattlesnake right here at Enchanted Rock. Or a scorpion. We could have sat on a scorpion. There's mountain lions out here. We could have run into somebody, or they could have run into us on the way out here. So the way I look at it is there's scary stuff everywhere. And what would I need to do if I encountered it?
I think the big thing, though, when you set your goal and that's your intention, you do what you need to do to make it happen. And that includes
sometimes scary new stuff.
And not listening to other people that really have...
They have their fears in mind, not yours goal.
Yeah.
Just go do it.